It is Tuesday, September 3rd. It's 12:02. Having our usual dose of technical glitches. But this is, hey, what's going on around here with myself and Heather. Hi, Heather.
Good morning.
I got to check and see how many of these we've done now. I know it's in the mid to upper 40s, which we're very proud of.
Me too.
We are streaming through, I believe, the YouTube live streamer. Is that right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I just had multiple browsers open, so I was hearing the stream.
Okay, so anyway, that is a result of a quite a mess last week with the live stream viewer that we've live stream service that we've been using for really the last year, and it's not because we didn't pay the bill. It's because their service didn't work, and it's the second time that we've had an important live stream messed up. Mm-hmm. So we kind of let them go, and we are now going to probably use much more the YouTube live streaming capability, which we think will be more robust and reliable. Good. So we definitely apologize. I'm getting really good at apologies on behalf of San Juan's Today, formerly known as CNL2, but we're all still learning, and we're pretty frustrated with that service. We're trying to get our money back. We actually were carrying a pretty large balance with them, so we'll see. We could certainly use that money. Yeah. Speaking of money, we were delighted, I think, Friday to learn that we were granted 501c3 tax-exempt status from the IRS. Jeremy spearheaded that application with a lot of input and help from Amy Sachs-Eiler at the Community Foundation.
Excellent.
And they approved it on the 9th day that they had it. And we were told the IRS routinely tells you to wait 6 months. Mm-hmm. And Amy felt like it would be more like 3 months, and it was 9 days. So
that's so
I think
cool.
Clearly and it was kind of a convoluted isn't the right word, but it was a complex thing. They ask, it's the IRS. They ask questions in weird ways, and had to make 3-year projections and all kinds of stuff. It was a cumbersome, I'll say, not convoluted, but cumbersome application. And so I guess we threaded the needle because it probably all that means is it passed through all the computers without any challenges. But we're really happy. We haven't received any donations yet, but it is the Tuesday after a holiday weekend. But it is official, and if you care to donate, it will be tax deductible. Consult your advisor. So
congratulations.
For some people it'll be deductible. I think a lot of people, thank you. Yeah, so that's really exciting, and we know that it opens some doors. There were some people who said that they were waiting for us to achieve that. Our big worry was that if you listen to the IRS version, 6 months, that would have put us in approval in 2025. And I'm learning all about nonprofit funding, but I'm learning that a lot of people decide in December, and at that, a lot of people decide in the last week of December whether to donate and who to donate to. So we were in jeopardy of, worst case, we could have missed that entire cycle. That would not be good. So anyway, thank you, Jeremy.
Made it.
Good job.
Yay.
Yep, good job. And Steve Porten has joined us. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm catching my breath.
Yeah, okay. Well, so are we. So you're in the right place. Steve is president of the Hospice of San Juan.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But so anyway, Heather, how was your holiday? Did you take off?
I did manage to get some time off. Of course, I still continue to get the text messages and emails from people and phone calls, but I got some time off.
It was kind of a quiet weekend.
It was a quiet weekend. Yeah, it
bad.
could have been worse if other things had gone awry, I'm sure. But,
Okay.
They did not. So
All
yay!
Right. Okay, and Steve, how was your weekend?
I'm thinking. How was my weekend? It was good. Pretty quiet. My wife has suffered some medical decline over the last several years with cancer and stroke, and so my life is pretty wrapped up at the house with her. Got a couple kids in town, a couple grandkids, 4 grandkids. So got to see them. Pretty low key, I'd say. Pretty low key.
Yeah.
It's good to have family around, and
It is
it's a
indeed.
family holiday.
It is indeed.
So we're going to talk all about hospice. How much time do you have today?
I got about half an hour, 45 minutes.
Okay, we'll go about a half hour.
Yeah.
First, your eyes remind me of Robert De Niro. Has anybody ever said that?
You know, I've actually been told that as well.
You see it? You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could shave. Maybe he has a beard now. I don't know. You could pass for like his brother.
Yeah, no, so I've had a couple people mention that.
I'll be darned. Okay, well, so where do we start? What can you tell us a little bit about the history of? Is it? It's Hospice of San Juan.
Hospice of San Juan, yep, and we are celebrating our 40th anniversary this year.
Wow.
So we've been working
Congratulations.
at it in the community here for 40 years. We're volunteer-based, so we have several facets to what we do. And it's probably important to note that, where do I look? Over here, or is there a different?
Just talk to us.
Yeah. It's probably important to note that there's a difference between Hospice of San Juan and Hospice Northwest. Hospice Northwest is run out of Bellingham. There is a local, Catherine Clary works out of the islands here as a nurse. And the primary difference is that we don't do anything with drugs. We don't administer drugs. Hospice of Northwest does. Generally, they work with people that the doctor and the patient and family have determined that there's 6 months or less left in that person's life. Hospice Northwest will come on board then, supply a nurse, washing, cleaning, and administering drugs if need be. We don't do any of that. We're strictly volunteers, strictly lay people. And we have got quite a array of equipment that we lend out to the community. You don't have to be a hospice patient to get the equipment. And I can go through what we've got if you'd want to hear it, but we've got hospital beds and porta potties and crutches and walkers and poles that you can put in the room to stabilize yourself. So we've got
Wheelchairs?
lots of stuff. What's that?
Wheelchairs too?
Lots of wheelchairs and walkers, yep. And we just make it available to the community. They call our telephone number or get through to us on our website, which is hospicesanjuan.org. I think that's right.
We will put that up when we put up the recording of this. We'll put that phone number up for you.
And the phone
and the web address.
Yeah, the phone number is 472-0322, and it's a hotline that's manned, or womaned, every day. So that you call in there and say, hey, I need a wheelchair. Or, hey, the other aspect of what we do is we offer respite care for caregivers. So if you're at home with a husband, wife, daughter, or whatever, and you are needing some help to sort of, just be there with a person so you can go shopping or take the dog for a walk or, any of that stuff. We put a team together of provide respite care for the caregiver. We don't administer drugs, as I said. We don't mess with bandages and that.
When did you get involved?
I've been involved for about 10 years, and I've been president for 3 years, I think.
Why did you get involved?
Interesting, because I noticed there's a friend of mine that wants to get trained, which is another piece that we can share. There's a training coming up in October. When my wife first got leukemia, it was a horrendous first year. We lived in Seattle pretty full-time for that first year. And I came back from that experience, which was pretty horrendous for my wife and for me and for the our children and stuff. It was a really hard year. I knew that hospice was out there in the weeds, but for some reason, it spoke to me to be able to, or want to be able to help people that were in a similar situation. And that's what brought me there, is my wife's illness, and a desire to help other people. And that's been one of the richest part of this whole thing for me, is that people are so happy to receive the equipment, or a team of respite workers to come in and help out. They're very appreciative. The community is very appreciative. So we've been well embraced by the community, and the workers, the volunteers, myself, have been embraced by people that we service. So.
Is that where you get most of your volunteers and participants, is people who experienced hospice of a loved one?
Oh, I would guess that there's a significant aspect to that, but it's probably not totally that. I think some people just want to help. They just want to be helpers in the community, and it's a great service that we provide, really a great service.
I should say that my mom received hospice care in Bainbridge Island. And it's, so I can testify to the power of it. It's so important, and it's like nothing else. And I also covered, I wrote an article, a long feature in Jefferson County in Port Townsend. They have a terrific program in Port Townsend, and it's as much for the family who's having so much trouble, coping with it, including emotionally, as it is for the, the actual recipient, the actual patient.
You bet.
Right? I know they helped my dad so much, just deal, but my mom also, really looked forward to the visits.
We've got material that we give away as well, for families that are dealing with the death or dying of a family member or a friend. And so, and we have a professional she's a volunteer professional, Marluz Villa, and she's kind of our titular head, and she's worked with hospice and with death and dying for many years. And so she's kind of an intake officer for us. So someone calls in and says, hey, I got this situation, and Marluz will interview them and decide whether or not there's something we can do to help. And generally we do.
Do you ever do special things like bring in music or
We did,
stuff like
we had somebody that was on board as a volunteer. God, what's his name? He moved away, but it was
Grisha?
Yes, Grisha, right. And he was doing some stuff with music and memory loss issues. It turns out that, a lot of us, as we get older, we wind up with diminished mental capacity, and music is one of the things that actually can bring people back a bunch. They hear music from the 50s or 60s or 70s, whatever, and it clicks for them. I've seen people that were in our care that were, had dementia, and you turn on the music to an era that, when they were younger, and they pick up the songs right away. Even people that haven't been speaking will something will click in their brain and it'll come on again. So yeah, we do some of that. We've got some equipment for that. And certainly books, reading materials, like I said, walking the dog, grocery shopping, or just sitting with the patient while their primary caregiver goes out to do whatever.
Do you have a low turnover of volunteers? Do you have people who, once they are volunteer, they stick with it?
Yeah,
or do you
pretty
get
much.
people who think it's not what I thought it would be?
Well, I think some people that want to work with a patient discover that it's really not for them. But we've got people that take turns answering the phone, so that I think there's 4 or 5 people that are on that list of volunteers, and they take a week at a time. So once every 6 weeks or so, they're on for the week, and they answer the phone and get the material, and then it's equipment call, and they then send the note out to the equipment team to, call this person back, and then it's the equipment team and the person that needs the wheelchair that put together a rendezvous and a time, and they meet up at the locker and borrow the wheelchair. If it's a team that's being requested of, then model loose, and a team leader will come up with a team, 3 or 4 people usually, that can go in and take care of whatever the issue is that that person wants. And that takes a little bit longer. And so there's that facet. And then there is the equipment stuff. So there's 3 main facets.
So I'm curious how you train people to play this role. I imagine some of the training gets into boundary issues. This is probably
Of course, being discreet and private about the person who's being cared for
and
is
not totally emotionally engaging, right? I mean, you're there every day or often with the patient, so you don't want to. You got to keep some.
Well, some, but yeah, I mean, it's for any of us that deal with an individual and get to know them, get to like them, get to know the family. It's an emotional tug on your heartstrings when they head south and die. Yeah. So that's not easy to deal with. But generally, we don't get very emotionally involved. True. I think that I don't know.
How does the training work? How long does it take?
Oh, that was your question. It's not really intense. It usually takes a couple weeks, once or twice a week or once a week for a month maybe. And Catherine Clary, who works with Hospice Northwest, usually comes and involves herself. There's a lot of focus on maintaining secrecy out there in the community about who we're dealing with. There is issues about cleanliness, about making sure that we don't bring some germs into the household or take germs away with us when we go home. So it's basically that stuff. We're not dealing that much with the medical end of it. We're there more as support people.
How many volunteers do you have right now?
I think it's around 35.
Do you need more?
Absolutely. That was one.
Is that why you're here?
That's one of the impetuses for me being here. Yeah, we're going to do a training in October, and as I said, we've got a telephone number you can call. It's in the phone book, and we've got a website that'll tell you how to get through to us, and someone will get back to you then and say, okay, great. Who are you? How do we get a hold of you? Here's the date for the training. Here's what we do. If you're interested, come to the training.
Can you describe the person that you're looking for in a volunteer?
Well, someone that's discreet, someone that's, carries themselves well in terms of their personal hygiene and stuff. I'd say someone that's committed to the community and wants to do good things for community members. And someone that can be affectionate with and present for death and dying issues.
Mm-hmm. Grounded. Someone who's grounded, yeah.
It seems like this is a very intense voluntary position. Are there a couple things that you would want someone interested to think about before stepping in?
Well, I think Modelus or whoever contacts them back after they contact us would go through that, kind of a questioning to see what their needs were and what their desires were. So I think that the screening would happen then, mm-hmm. And then if it seems like a fit, then the invitation to come to
move forward.
Yeah.
And lastly, let's talk a little bit about the funding. I think you're a partner with the San Juan Island Community Foundation.
We have been, and actually we didn't do anything this year at the fair because we felt like financially we were in decent shape, so we weren't going to do a fundraiser this year. We did one 2 years ago, which was successful. We've created a fund there's several of us that are getting up there in years, including Modelus and myself, that we're going to be stepping down, and we want, some new some new people to come on board. We're a little bit shy in the men division. It's mostly women. So we'd like to encourage more men to come forward. And so right now, Maudaluz has been doing a yeoman's job of handling the professional end of it. And she's not been charging, she's been doing it gratis. But when the time comes for her to step down, we may have to pay someone to do that job. So we want to have some money in the bank for that. But yes, between fundraisers and the San Juan operation there, we've set ourselves up pretty well. And there's been some really nice donations from individuals that have built up the coffers. That's not to say that we wouldn't be happy to receive more money. And a lot of times people that borrow the equipment or that have a team put together to help with their loved one will make a donation.
Do you get any grants, or is it completely donations?
It's pretty much donations. I think there's been some small grants, but nothing significant.
Do you coordinate with any other agencies?
Hospice Northwest,
Okay.
we work pretty closely with them. Generally, the doctors in town know who we are and what we do, so there's that cooperation.
Do you have any relationship with any of the religious, the clerical clerics and religious leaders?
We not closely, no.
So they would come in on their own? You
They
don't
would come in
coordinate
on
that?
their own,
Right,
yeah.
Right, and I'm sure there's quite a bit of that.
Yes.
But that's just
depending on the families.
the person's faith and their church membership and
Right.
all that. Okay.
Yeah. A good question. That's a great question.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say? I think it's wonderful that we have this, and I'm not surprised that it's well supported. Anybody who would be inclined, I imagine a lot of the times you get a donation after the person has passed.
Yes.
People don't have to wait, so you could
Absolutely
you could
not.
build up the coffers, and you're probably right. At some point, you will need some paid staff. When one only needs to look at the data to know that we have the oldest population in the state, in this county. And so it's not a sad thing, it's just a reality that there will be more and more people needing this service at some point in the future. So
Probably the average age of our volunteers is high 60s and 70s. So,
Oh, wow.
so we're up there ourselves.
all right. So old boomers, time to, where's my camera? Old boomer, I don't know where my camera is. Where's my camera?
And younger people, come on, younger
Oh,
generations.
absolutely. Younger people
Yeah.
come on board. The training's good. And like I say, there's 3 aspects that you can do if you don't want to deal with a patient that you can be helpful for our organization.
Okay, that's boomers, that's Gen X, and that is millennials.
Gen Z.
Yeah, well,
Red
Z's
camera.
Millennials and Gen Z.
red camera. Oh, there I am. I don't know what I'm doing today. But anyway, yeah, all ages. This is not just old people helping even older people.
Right.
It's everybody. And I do know that this work can be, for the right person, at the right time in their life, this can be incredibly rewarding.
Very much so.
Incredibly rewarding.
Very much so, yes.
So, thank you very
Hospice of
much.
San Juan, .org, for information, website.
We're going to put the phone number and the web address up on this page, so if you're watching this recorded, just look down the page a little bit, or up the page, actually, and all the contact information will be there.
Thanks,
Steve?
thanks so much for giving us the opportunity
Steve.
to meet the
And,
community
coming
and
in.
to share with you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and you should work on your De Niro impersonation. You know.
I don't know if I know what
See
De
right there,
Niro,
see?
looks like.
Oh,
and
yeah,
out there.
I think you can pull it off. We'll work on it with you.
All right, good.
All right,
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Take good care,
Thank you.
Steve.
I'm going to jump out of here.
okay, thank you.
Cheers.
All right, so, I don't know, is there anything else to talk about? This is going to be a short show, folks, today, but we're really glad that
How do people access you?
CNL2.com, which now you can also go to sanjuans.today, and it'll take you to the old CNL2.com site. So this is live.
YouTube.
And
This is
YouTube.
live, and YouTube, so we're all over the place. But it's sanjuans.today is the web address.
And so when is my cameo show?
Well, this was live.
Oh, okay.
So there's that.
When
And
is it
then
going to be posted?
We'll put the tape up hopefully this afternoon or else by tomorrow morning.
That'd be fun to see what I look like.
Yeah,
Or maybe I'll be embarrassed on how I
I don't
look.
think so. I don't think so.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
Yeah. Good to see you.
And to be seen.
All right. Well, anyway, is there anything else going on that you can talk about?
Gosh, no, it
See,
was,
you have
as
a
we
job where-
established that it was a quiet
Yeah.
weekend, which was good.
You
for
have a
my
job,
community.
when I say, is there anything going on? I can't get the answer that is in your head because there's
There's
a
so
ton
much.
of stuff going on.
I know, and it's one of those questions that I freeze when people ask me because it's like, well, where do I start? Where do I start?
So, All
So
right.
you guys, are you going to be coming up with, I assume, a new logo too?
yeah, we have a new logo. It's on the site.
nice.
It's wavy water waves with a sailboat and,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
I'm
So-
looking at the CNL too.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy, we're supposed to change that in the upper corner there. We'll work on that. Thank you for
Many, many
catching that.
changes.
I didn't.
Yeah, it's
all
amazing in
different.
just a year how many places we've put the logo, and it's built into our opens and all kinds of
Right.
stuff. So it's going to take months to get all that straightened out. But anyway, well, thank you. This was a short show. You're going to get half your lunch hour.
Yeah,
Do people know that you're giving up your lunch hour to be here on a Tuesday?
I don't know.
That is really nice of you. So,
Well, I think it's important.
yeah, thank
And I
you.
like doing
And
this,
support the
so-
paper. Subscribe,
thank you.
$5.95. Is the price changed, or is it still
No.
$5.95 every 4 weeks?
Price of a latte, more or less.
Bargain. Less than a latte.
Less than a latte.
I think it's less than most lattes around here. Less than a mocha, anyway. So, all right, thanks, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
And we will see you next week.
All right.